If you are still relying on one massive 2,000-word system prompt to build applications or process data, your methodology is already obsolete. The industry has moved to multi-agent swarms. Instead of one model trying to do everything, specialized AI models act as a synchronized team of product managers, developers, and QA testers. But this creates a new bottleneck. The market is flooded with frameworks like CrewAI, LangGraph, and Dify that all promise to help you build these complex swarms, leaving builders entirely paralyzed by choice. Picking a framework that doesn't align with your technical skill set has a heavy cost. You will either burn days wrestling with setup code you don't understand, or you will deploy a brittle system that violently breaks the exact moment you need it to perform. Success ultimately depends on identifying the specific trade-off you are willing to make between rapid deployment speed and strict architectural control. To measure that trade-off, we are looking at this flowchart. We're going to evaluate how each framework builds the exact same 3-agent content pipeline. First, we need a researcher agent dedicated entirely to fetching raw tech news and data. That data flows into a writer agent, whose only job is to synthesize the raw information into an executive summary. Finally, an editor agent critiques the draft. If the quality standards aren't met, it forces a rewrite and sends it back. On paper, this is a straightforward sequence, but how each framework handles that editor's rejection loop and manages state will expose exactly where their technical limits lie. Let's start with CrewAI. This is built for scripters and rapid prototypers who know their way around basic Python. It relies on an employee metaphor. You treat your agents like staff in a startup, assigning them a specific role, a primary goal, and a backstory, relying on intent-driven delegation rather than hard coding how they talk to each other. Because CrewAI handles that communication logic under the hood, spinning up our 3-agent pipeline only requires writing about 20 lines of code. Look at this quadrant chart comparing setup effort to custom control. CrewAI sits right here in the lower middle. You get a working swarm running in under 15 minutes. But because it abstracts the loop logic away, setting up a highly specific condition, like forcing the editor to reject a draft exactly 3 times before giving up, turns into a black box. You can't easily micromanage the specific state. CrewAI is the right choice for launching intent-driven teams quickly, provided you can sacrifice granular control over how they iterate. On the opposite end of the spectrum is LangGraph, a heavy-duty framework built for enterprise developers and production engineers. This diagram shows how LangGraph views our pipeline. It abandons the employee metaphor and treats the process as a deterministic state machine. Agents and tools are nodes, and the control flow between them are explicit conditional edges. To make this work, you have to write explicit, complex graph syntax in Python and manage a significant amount of boiler code. The return on that effort is absolute token-level control. There is zero hidden magic. If you want an agent to retry a task only if a specific JSON key is missing, you can code that exact instruction. Bringing our chart back up, LangGraph plots in the extreme top right. You are trading a steep, frustrating learning curve for maximum control. Stern, practical tone. LangGraph is for environments where an unpredicted AI hallucination or a loop failure is not an option, requiring a massive upfront time tax to guarantee reliability. Finally, we have Dify, an open-source visual solution tailored for non-technical product managers and teams who want to build without typing code. Builders work on a user interface canvas, dragging and dropping LLM nodes and retriever tools into place. Connecting our researcher, writer, and editor requires zero back-end syntax. The entire 3-agent setup takes roughly 5 minutes from start to finish, complete with built-in observability and an instant REST API deployment. On our quadrant chart, Dify lands in the extreme bottom left. The caveat is that as your logic scales in complexity, advanced multi-agent state loops can quickly turn a clean visual graph into an unmanageable mess. Dify makes multi-agent creation accessible to anyone who can navigate a UI, though its visual rigidity makes it unsuitable for complex enterprise-level logic strains. There is no universal best framework here. You are essentially purchasing either rapid convenience or absolute control. To make the right choice, start with this simple decision tree. Question 1. Do you write code? If the answer is no, and you prioritize instant API deployment with visual observability over custom programming, follow this branch directly to Dify. If you do write code, ask yourself the second question. Do you need deterministic, enterprise-grade loop control? Scripters who want to test concepts quickly and don't need to micromanage every failure loop should take the no path here and use CrewAI. But if you are engineering a product where unpredictable AI behavior is a massive liability, take the yes branch. You need to absorb the learning curve of LangGraph. Mismatched tools often stall projects before they reach production, as developers either get buried in boilerplate they don't need or hit a ceiling their framework can't break through. I've left the template code and links for all 3 of these frameworks in the description below, so you can begin testing immediately. Let me know in the comments which framework you are choosing to build with, based on your specific capabilities. Acknowledging your own technical limits is the most effective way to ensure your multi-agent architecture actually makes it to deployment. See you in the next one.